What up, this Mongo? All right, I've been seeing a lot of people absolutely obsessing on Twitter about Baron Corbin. I guess this is because there are some people who believe that Baron Corbin is the best heel in the business. So there's this cadre of people who just insist on comparing Baron Corbin to every other, I guess, top heel in wrestling, and they completely miss the concept of what the hell a top heel is supposed to be. They think a top heel is supposed to make them laugh. You know, top heel is supposed to be hilarious. He's supposed to be funny. You know, he's supposed to be he's supposed to be there to tap dance for me and entertain me. And that's what being a good heel is. A good heel is not supposed to make me mad. You know, a good heel is supposed to make me happy. I'm supposed to be happy to see him. I'm supposed to be glad he's on TV. I don't understand where this shit comes from. Look, I'm not even going to go and say that Baron Corbin is the best heel in wrestling. I'm saying that Baron Corbin is a fucking true heel. Baron Corbin is not your fucking friend. He's not playing along with you. He's not a fucking mark. He is honestly out there to get people not to like him. Period. And it does not matter what you think. He is not out there to have 5-star classics or give you funny promos that you can tell your friends about. That's not his fucking job. His fucking job is not to make you happy. Oh, but MJF, he did a funny segment. Who gives a fuck? That's what he does because he is not doing good at his job. If you're laughing at him, then he's not doing his fucking job. He's not fucking Richard Pryor. He's supposed to be a goddamn heel. Now, I understand certain people are young. Okay, and a lot of these people who have this mentality, they are young. It's with the exception of Jim Cornette, who I know loves MJF. But a lot of these people are young, and they grew up on the sort of Chris Jericho heel, you know, The Miz, who comes out and they have a real big mouth and they talk real loud, and maybe they're good at turning a phrase and they good with, you know, with promos. And these people usually they have their run, but then people get tired of them, or they magically turn babyface because everybody likes to laugh and everybody's having so much fun that they end up turning the motherfucking babyface. Okay, that's not what their job is. The job as heels is to be heels, which means to not be liked, to you not want to see them win, for them to do things that are mean, that are petty, that are in some ways childish. Now, some of the most ridiculous stuff I've seen. I already mentioned MJF. A lot of people are really high on MJF because he's a young guy, and that's a good thing. That he's a talented young guy that is decent at his job. But the problem is he's over with people who already know that it's fake. Everybody kind of knows that it's not real. But he's over with the audience who wants to see choreographed pro wrestling matches and bad guys who come out and tell jokes so they can laugh. Not so they can boo, but so they can laugh. The 10 Lashes segment, right? People talk about how great the segment was, and it was a fantastic segment. Okay, and MJF had something to do with that. He was really good in that segment. He was good at when he was humiliating Cody. That was a good thing. But then you look at the crowd, and when he was running through the crowd, you saw people laughing. They were having a fucking ball. Okay, that's the wrong response. That is not what a heel does. A heel does not supposed to be you sitting here whipping the baby face. The baby face is crying and on the mat weak and I don't know what to do with myself. And you're laughing, heel's laughing, everybody's having a fucking grand old time, not giving a damn about the baby face in the ring. So who got over? If that's the argument, who got over? If your argument is everybody's laughing, having a good ass time, except the babyface who just got whipped, who got over? Babyface just got whipped. He's not over. The heel, they're laughing and having fun with him. He's not over either. Okay? Compare that to your dog food segment, where, Baron Corbin chained up Roman Reigns and covered him in dog food, which unanimously pissed off a lot of people because they kept saying, "Oh, this is so stupid. I don't like that he did that." Isn't that the point? Isn't the point of a heel to do shit that you don't like? Isn't that the point? Or you think the point is for them motherfuckers to tap dance and be best friends with everybody? Is that the point? The point is for them to do things to humiliate the babyface, and otherwise, and to humiliate the babyface. And if the babyface can't fight back, then that's great. Now, in the Cody segment, babyface couldn't fight back because of honor, right? He can't. He's going to give his word that, I can't hit you before the match, so you're going to whip me. I can't do anything to you. He very well could have broken that and punched MJF in the face if he wanted to, But he was an honor-bound man. This is what makes Cody a good babyface. He kept his word. He took the 10 lashes. MJF talked his shit, kicked him in the nuts, ran. In the Baron Corbin segment, Roman Reigns could not fight back. He took away Roman Reigns' ability to fight back. He didn't rely on Roman Reigns not fighting back. Even though if you watch the segment, he kind of does because Roman doesn't use his legs. Even though I think his legs were chained up. So, yeah, he restrained Roman Reigns to prevent Roman Reigns from fighting back. In other words, the humiliation was more. Because unlike Cody, who willingly stood there and took the 10 lashes, Roman Reigns didn't stand there and let him pour dog food on him. The heel did something to prevent the babyface from fighting back, humiliated him in front of the world, and laughed. And then everybody else was not happy about it. Nobody else was happy about it. Nobody was happy that Roman Reigns got covered in dog food. There was nobody laughing. People thought it was stupid, sure. But I'm old enough to realize that I look at things a little bit more psychologically than everybody else. Okay? It's just my nature. It's not that I'm better than everybody else or anything like that. I just analyze things. I try to look at things from the view of human psychology in some way without doing too much research. I'm not doing any research, okay? But when you look at things the way I look at things, because I look at things also from the perspective of character. When I say that Cody allowed himself to be lashed, it kind of takes away some of the sympathy because, again, he allowed it. He invited it. He wanted it to happen because he wanted the match more than he wanted not to get whipped. So that's basic stuff right there. But when you look at the way Baron Corbin is portrayed, he is portrayed as one of the most unlikable people in the world. A genuinely unlikable person. Okay, now Raven, and I think that I'm fairly sure, 99% sure I heard Raven say this, that it's usually the internet wrestling fan that's the easiest to work. And I think that when you look at how Brian Alvarez responded to the Big Dog segment, right? When this guy who supposedly knows so much about wrestling that he writes books on it, got so upset because Baron Corbin brought out a man in a dog suit, making fun of Roman Reigns because they nicknamed him the Big Dog. And he got so upset. And then his whole set is the people who are making these, well, MJF is the best heel because he's funny. No, that's not how that works. I even saw one goober bring up Sami Callihan, which was even more laughable. In my TNA Hard to Kill review, I talked about how I kind of hate Sami Callihan. I don't hate him as much as Jim Cornette hates him. And part of my hatred for Sami Callihan is that because he's a good heel, which makes him a good heel. I think he's a better heel than MJF, but I don't think Sami Callihan has much in the way of dimensions. Okay, what I mean by that is he's the leader of this terrible group who doesn't really do that much in the way of dastardly things. I mean, they jump people, but that's what stables do. They just jump people. You know, and I'll just never forget that he openly was touting kind of his feminist credentials when he was feuding with Tessa Blanchard, when he was like, "Oh, I'm going to beat you up not because you're a woman, but because I fight people." Blah blah blah. I'm like, come on, man. Let's be real. If he was really a heel, he would say, "I'm not wrestling a woman. I'm not fucking doing it. Because I don't have to do it. I don't wrestle women. This isn't the women's championship." He would have had to get forced into defending the title against Tessa Blanchard. But since he had already wrestled the woman, it kind of made sense that he would just have to go along with it, right? But again, the heel is not there to give you what you want. He's not there to be fucking wish fulfillment. He's not there to tap dance and be your best friend. He is there to be the dragon, the instrument of chaos that has to be overcome. This is what Baron Corbin does better than everybody else. I don't like his promos. I don't really like the Baron Corbin promos. I think they suck. I think a lot of the WWE promos are absolute basura because you have guys basically just cutting the promo and trying to memorize what they said, which is why I don't write things down as well. I don't want to have to sit here and like I'm reading a teleprompter and saying what I wrote down. So I don't like that. But they also did this segment tonight that I thought was really interesting and I thought was really cool. Is that Baron Corbin went into the production truck when they showed the segment of him being covered in Hormel chili. Dog food. He went into the production truck and he started bullying the guy in the production truck. He smacked him, drug him out of the production truck, threw him down the stairs, and people were like, "This guy's going too far." He's being a dick. He's being completely and totally unlikable. And that's kind of when I realized that people don't really understand the Baron Corbin character. They have this idea that heels are supposed to be liked. Or at least they have this idea that, he's got the wrong kind of heat with me. He's got go-away heat. It's like, what are you talking about? More people watch him than watch these other guys. I don't... When he came out and said what he said about the Kansas City Chiefs, beating the 49ers for the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl, he got massive heat. But that's cheap heat. That's sports teams. That's cheap heat. And a lot of guys go for the cheap heat, and MJF is another one. He kind of goes for the cheap heat. I'm better than you, and you know it, which is a cool line, but it's kind of cheap. He talks about people being stupid and fat and being moronic and being virgins and not having girlfriends, and these people are just laughing. They just laughing right along with him. They're not offended because he said it. They're not upset that he said it. They don't feel anything because he said it. They're not moved to compare him to somebody else or the greats of all time because when Roddy Piper used to say stuff and offend people, if you go back and you listen to Roddy Piper segments, just watch some Roddy Piper segments. For starters, I was watching the documentary. I have the Roddy Piper documentary on DVD. And you could look in the Roddy Piper character was actually, by today's standards, and I don't think this way, but by today's standards, the Roddy Piper character was racist. He's playing La Cucaracha to the Guerreros, talking about that's the Mexican national anthem. He did half blackface in a match against Bad News Brown. He assaulted a woman. He kicked Cyndi Lauper. He said Mr. T is the only black person he knows that wears more chains than his ancestors. He has gone way over the line. By today's standards, he would be considered a racist. By today's standards, Ted DiBiase would be the worst person of all time. Because, he's the kick the ball while the kid's trying to dribble. And he's stuffing money in people's mouths. And, but we live in a world of, you can't fat shame. I'm upset because you're fat shaming me. Somebody makes a fat joke to Kevin Owens, and you got people who've been watching wrestling their whole fucking lives getting offended. Fucking TV show. You didn't think he knew it was coming? Like I just saw the other day, people were really losing their minds about the Lay Cool Mickey James segments from, I don't know what year it was, 2007, 2008 or something like that. The Piggy James segments. The point of the segments weren't that WWE was telling people that Mickey James was fat. The point of the segments is that Lay Cool are fucking bullies. I don't understand why people have to be, when people are bullies, they do shit that is not rational. It's not supposed to make sense. They're fucking heels. Heels are supposed to lie. They're supposed to belittle. They're supposed to be bullies. They're supposed to be mean. That's the fucking point. The point isn't for them to go out there and tell the fucking truth. The fact of the matter is, the bigger the lie, the better. But you got these people out here talking about, well, Michelle McCool had an eating problem. How could she make all these fat jokes? What the fuck? Who the fuck cares? She's a fucking heel. She's playing a bad guy on fucking TV. Alexa Bliss also had eating problems and still was making fat jokes about Nia Jax. Because why wouldn't you want to make fun of the most obvious thing that everybody can fucking see? Why would you not make fun of that if you're the heel? It's as obvious as making fun of the suck-ass sports team. Or making fun of the country that you're in. Or something like that. It's easy. Why would you not do that? Why would you be standing there in front of a fat fuck and then not say anything about the fat fuck being fat? Why wouldn't you do that? Because you don't want to fat shame anybody? What the fuck is wrong with you? Okay? That makes no goddamn sense. It's like when you see somebody, if you're standing in front of somebody old, okay? That's the first thing gonna come out of your mouth. You old bastard, you old son of a bitch. That's the first thing gonna come out of your mouth. That's natural. It's like, I don't want to be called ableist, so I'm not going to talk about that. I don't want to talk about your race. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about your gender. I don't want to talk about that. So what the fuck you going to talk about? You going to make something up? Instead of talking about the most obvious shit that people can see, the most obvious thing that people can see is usually the easiest thing to go in on. Now I can say that there are a bridge too far. Okay? I think that the Charlotte Paige segment, I think it was Paige, who talked about Charlotte's dead brother. I didn't like that segment. I don't think that it really hit the right note. Okay. I also didn't think that it was cool when Randy Orton said that Eddie Guerrero was in hell. I didn't think that hit the right note either. Okay. I think that when people die, and I don't mean this as far as Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer, when they said he's in the urn, and CM Punk started covering himself in ashes. It was so comedic that it could not have possibly been real in the first place. But when people are making comments about dead people being in hell, or you're going too far, all right? Because that makes the talent uncomfortable, right? No matter how, it makes the audience uncomfortable. Too uncomfortable. Like, you're supposed to be made uncomfortable by the heel. That's their job. Okay? Their job is to upset you, is to make you uncomfortable. And to give sympathy to the babyface. But you also add sympathy to the heel if we know that the heel is saying something completely unnatural to them. And in those segments, now Randy Orton, gotta say, might be it felt a little natural when he said that Eddie is in hell. You know, like we know he didn't mean it, but it felt it's Randy being Randy, him being a dick. It felt like it was natural and something he would have said anyway, right? Then you got Bradshaw. Bradshaw was another one that, by today's standards, would be racist. You know, not just the Nazi thing that he was doing, but you're talking about Bradshaw was chasing illegal immigrants across the border in segments where he was feuding with Eddie Guerrero, and I think the shit was hilarious. That was the shit that brought me back to wrestling. The offensive Bradshaw character when he was talking about I'm gonna beat you like Big Show eats a pizza. He was fat shaming Big Show, you know, stuff like that. I love that shit. I love it. Give me more of that, because at least I know when people get mad about it, they're seriously mad. The Jack Swagger, we the people stuff that really triggered Fox News. I love that shit. I fucking love it. Not because I believe it, but because I know you're hitting the right notes, right? You're pissing off people, but you're pissing off people to the point where they want to see you lose. But, you know, sometimes these things do go too far. You can go too far. And you can be too silly. And you can be too over the top. But usually the more over the top you are, you know, the more unrealistic it is. And the more unrealistic it is, you know, the easier it is for people to deal with it. You know, some people were upset about, you know, the Sergeant Slaughter Iraqi sympathizer thing. I was too young to really be that upset by it. And since I've been adult, that doesn't really bother me. Because again, I know it was a character. If I was a kid who really understood the world at the time, maybe I would have been upset. But I wasn't. I was a child. I didn't care. I was not offended by Jerry Lawler making fun of Jake the Snake Roberts being an alcoholic. There are some people who, for that, they were upset. I thought the shit was funny. I'm sorry. I thought it was fucking hilarious. Jake Roberts is a full-grown adult man. If he didn't want to do that storyline, all he had to do is say he didn't want to do it. Now, in other interviews, he did say that the parts of the story that he didn't like were that they used real alcohol when they would pour alcohol on it and stuff. Okay. Then that's the part of it that I can say, honestly, yeah, they didn't need to do that. Because I wouldn't have known if it was real alcohol or not. Okay? Another thing that I didn't really like is when Chris Jericho called CM Punk a bastard. Because it felt like bullshit. And then in today's world, you know, him having parents who weren't married is not really a sick burn, you know? Like, if you were going to go in on his drunk dad, which I think it was his dad who had an alcohol problem, then that might have been very close. That'd have been very, very close. But CM Punk also had a hand in the storyline. Hell, they wanted to take it even further. That just goes to show how professional sometimes the performers are, right? But the fans, they get all, I don't know, it was so mean. It was a little too mean. I don't understand why you have to be such a bad guy. Why you have to say these things. You know, get over it. Heels are going to be mean. They're going to do rude shit. They're going to piss people off. Hell, that's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. You know, you don't like, and to kind of try to, you know, wrap this thing up, because I've gone on longer than I intended to. Baron Corbin, a lot of people really started to hate for Baron Corbin when he was sort of Constable Corbin, or whatever the fuck he was, when he's wearing that goddamn waiter suit. And yeah, that was easy to hate. Just like Corporate Kane. Whenever you put a big guy in a suit and he just, you know, looks like the Applebee's waiter, or, you know, some greeter at some fine dining restaurant, you're pissing people off. You know, that just looks dumb. Because everybody wants generic badass. But the Baron Corbin generic badass character, it worked for a little bit, but it just doesn't work now. You know, I very well prefer what he does now. And I'm talking even the stupid fucking crown that he walks around wearing. Look, I've even seen people that I actually like mention, like, why is he wearing a crown? He shouldn't be wearing a crown. Like, that's the point. The point is he's being fucking obnoxious about it. I don't understand why y'all want him to be cool. It's not his fucking job to be cool. It's not the fucking NWO, okay? He's not supposed, and that's the crazy thing because that shit, the NWO, they were sort of cool, but they were also very offensive. You know, they made fun of like Arn Anderson, and you know they made fun of other people, and they took personal shots at people. Like I remember, you know, X-Pac was taking very personal shots at Ric Flair about Ric Flair being, you know, broke and stuff like that. And yeah, they were pushing buttons, you know, and DX was the same way. They was pushing buttons, but that's what makes people an interesting heel, is that they're going to push your buttons. They're going to test your patience. They're not supposed to be cool and fun and funny and all that shit. They're supposed to be mean, nasty, you know, ruthless bastards, you know. And to me, Baron Corbin covering Roman Reigns and dog food is no different than Butch Reed tarring and feathering the junkyard dog, you know. Why would he do that? I mean, for starters, a lot of people are purposefully misconstruing and misunderstanding the Baron Corbin Roman Reigns storyline anyway. Some people seem to think that it's over dog food, which is stupid because that's like 4 months into the feud. Then you've got people who say, well, it's over Roman Reigns calling himself the big dog, but that's after the inciting incident. The entire point of the storyline, which actually began before Survivor Series, is that Roman Reigns was calling himself the locker room leader. That he was, you know, he's the man on SmackDown. And Baron Corbin is like, no, I'm the man. But instead of doing it in a very boring way where they just talk about, well, I'm the man. No, I'm the man. No, I'm the man. They take it to a cartoonish level where Roman Reigns wants to be the big dog. Okay, fine. Let's bring out Roman Reigns. And it's a dog with the Roman Reigns flak jacket on. Like, okay, you want to be the big dog? That's the big dog. You want to be the big dog? I'm going to cover you in dog food. How about that, big dog? You know, that's how you have to look at these things. But if you want to look at these things and be like this cynical, sarcastic, getting yourself over kind of, where you want to be the cool heel and hate everything that comes on the TV screen, then yeah, you get in these modes and you just don't like it. But personally, I don't like the matches because I don't really think that either one of them I don't think that Baron Corbin is a great worker. I don't. I think he has better matches than people are going to give him credit for. But I don't think that he's like this knockdown, drag out. He is not the worst I've ever seen, that's for sure. He's not the worst. I just think that he's painfully mediocre as far as matches are concerned. And I don't like the choice of, you know, how they put to present the character. You know, they could do better with the presentation. But I think Baron Corbin is fantastic heel. You know, and I think that he's better than a lot of the guys that people are comparing him to. You know, do I think he's one of the best of all time? No, I don't. No, I don't think he's one of the best of all time. Now, he could be. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you the future. But I do think that he is better than a lot of people giving him credit for. You know, like nobody wanted to see Kurt Angle wrestle Baron Corbin. But, you know, because they wanted Kurt Angle. I guess if it was legit his last match, it's a good argument to say they shouldn't have been against Baron Corbin. It should have been against a long-time rival like a John Cena or a Rey Mysterio or somebody like that, rather than him wrestling Baron Corbin. But at the same time, they put a lot of stock and they put a lot of trust into Baron Corbin, which is why it makes sense that he's one of the top heels in the company, because they went through putting him in that match, knowing that nobody wanted him in it. You know, even Kurt Angle didn't want him in it. You know, so they put all this steam into this guy, and it would be a true shame if they'd have put all that effort into putting him in that position, and then killing the character off. You know, and then him not being at WrestleMania at all or something like that. So. But that's the problem of, you know, having retirement matches, and then the guy really should get to pick his own opponent if he's going to have a retirement match. I'm sorry. WWE kind of dropped the ball on that one with the whole Kurt Angle thing. But Baron Corbin has had a great 2018, 2019. He won the King of the Ring shortly after he beat Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. He was able to coast on that, then he won the King of the Ring, and now he feels like he's the locker room leader of SmackDown, and he got embarrassed you know, by Roman Reigns. He got covered in dog food, and they're gonna have one more match. I don't really need them to have another match, but yeah, I don't really see, I don't see the comparisons until I see that there's legitimate heat on an MJF, or that anybody gives a shit about something that Sami Callihan actually does. I don't really care about what other people, their views of what being a heel is, because it's been formed by, oh, I love this Chris Jericho heel promo, instead of, you have to also look into how strong the babyface is. And sometimes these things don't work out because the babyface isn't strong enough. Nobody cares enough about the babyface to really boo the heel, to really not like him. Then you also had MJF looking kind of dopey in front of DDP. Like a 60-year-old guy. But hey, look, MJF is a cool guy. I don't mind it. I just think that the fans ruin the character a lot. It's just like he's the male. He's the heel version of Kenny Omega, where a lot of people are trying to talk about it as if, and that's another thing. Like, I don't really think that Chris Jericho kind of is the top heel, and but he still also does a lot of comedy, does a lot of silly shit. So it's hard to be a heel in today's, and I get it. It's hard to be a heel today. Which is why I'm so impressed when people like Baron Corbin actually exist. That they are legitimately unlikable enough, because usually, and Baron Corbin, it doesn't help that he's not a wrestling guy. He was a football player who became a wrestler, and everybody hates that, because people like the boyhood dream gimmick, where everybody wants to be a wrestler from when they're a child. Then, oh, now I like you, and a lot of people are saying, like, and another one is Charlotte. A lot of people don't like Charlotte. They will go to the ends of the earth to say everybody's better than Charlotte. But my thing is, if they're the first person that you think of when you mention them, then they're not the best. Okay? If you have to compare Tessa Blanchard to Charlotte and not Charlotte to Tessa Blanchard, then you've already lost that argument. Because there's a reason why when you think of Charlotte first, there's a reason why you think of Baron Corbin to compare Sami Callihan to him, or there's a reason why you think of Baron Corbin to compare MJF to him, or Sammy Guevara. It's like, come the fuck on. There's a reason why you think of him first, because he is the one doing it at the highest level right now. Like, nobody compares these people to Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is a heel. Nobody likes Sami Zayn. He gets a lot of boos. He gets genuine heat. You don't compare MJF to Sami Zayn. Why not? Why not? Because Sami Zayn is not doing it at the highest level. He's doing it at a high level, but he's not doing it at the highest level. Because at the end of the day, people still kind of like Sami Zayn. And they're waiting for this, Sami Zayn to kind of go back babyface, But that's neither here nor there. I've talked way longer than I intended to. But there are basic writing archetypes that you can follow for heels and baby faces, heroes and villains. And yes, some villains are sympathetic, some villains are likable, but for the most part, the villain is not supposed to be likable. You're not supposed to sympathize with them. You're not supposed to laugh with them or cry with them. You're not supposed to feel bad for them. But you can. And too often we get wrapped up in that kind of villain, where we want the sympathetic heel, the guy that we kind of feel bad for, the kind of guy that we understand. Like, oh, I understand why Daniel Bryan wants to save the planet, because I believe in climate change too. Like, I thought Daniel Bryan's heel work was fantastic, because I think that shit is annoying. I thought the whole preachy climate champion, I thought that shit was so obnoxious that it worked, because I was so sick of hearing that shit, but it works. And that's how I knew that it was working, because I was aggravated by it. And that's also how I know that Baron Corbin is working, because I'm genuinely aggravated by a lot of the shit that he does. I'm genuinely aggravated that him and Roman Reigns are not done wrestling. But again, I've talked too long. So let me know what you guys think. I'm pretty sure most people are going to disagree with me, but I don't care. So like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.